Alright, ladies and gentlemen, last manga reaction for today. It's good to see you, Halster. It's good to see everyone else. Let's go ahead and get started with more Sakamoto Days. Yo, peoples! Qushu92 here. Welcome back to more Sakamoto Days. In the last chapter, Sakamoto jumped in to save Shin, responded by launching him outside, triggering a fire alarm so the security doors can go down so he can deal with Uzuki and the rest of the order inside. And mind you, one of the things is that Shin notices that Sakamoto is still kind of trembling because he's left with a little bit of trauma over what happened with his wife and his home, essentially. So he's still not at 100% yet. Yet he still manages to tank everything that everyone is doing, from Tanabata hitting him with a shockwave, to Gozu electrifying him and Sakamoto ignoring that. Sakamoto basically shrugging off the fact that Torres was able to shoot and bore a hole through his shoulder with a sandblaster. He still ignores that and also defends himself from Kumanomi and basically everybody else. And Shin goes and tries to, he finds everyone, Heisuke, the old dude, the old Taka man, I forgot his name, but Boiled and Kidaka, they're all fine after Uzuki literally sent a fighter jet into the tower. They're fine, and Shin doesn't want to get them involved because of how scuffed up they are, but Heisuke and everyone else is able to tell that you ain't about to go over and do something stupid, are you? Which he was. Shin was about to do something majorly stupid, so they all decide to go back in order to get to Sakamoto. And that's when Sakamoto gets launched outside after getting himself, locking himself in with everybody. He gets launched outside because of Kumanomi, and Uzuki is all like, yeah, the time for talk is over. And then Sakamoto's all like, yeah, but I know that Rion wouldn't want this. And Uzuki is all like, no, Rion lives on within me. And Sakamoto's all like, yeah, no, because if this really was Rion, she would have killed you. And that's when, at first, Uzuki wasn't bothered by words, but it's specifically these words that bother Uzuki as he just tells him to shut up. Recap over. Onwards to days 219. Fake. And it shows Sakamoto in the parking garage while the rest of the order is bearing down in front of him. And Kumanomi standing there going,
"Hey, Kay, can I go kill that blonde brat who ran away?"
"Please do." And then it shows Kumanomi running away from, running in the opposite direction so she can go kill Shin. And Sakamoto moves with such blinding speed that he lands in front of Kumanomi on the hood of a truck and on the hood of a car. And anyone who has seen The Matrix Reloaded, remember when the agent takes over the police officers when they're chasing Trinity and everyone else in the car on the highway. He gets out and jumps on top of another car, smashes that car completely, and then launches onto the car with Morpheus and everybody else. That's essentially what Sakamoto does. He moves at such a speed that he lands in front of Kumanomi, crushing a car's hood just from him merely landing, much to her shock. And everyone is surprised to see that Sakamoto is in front of her. And then Kumanomi shocked goes,
"Out of my way, you half-dead corpse!"
And before that happens, her hand gets grabbed by Sakamoto, and he starts to overpower her, and we get a crunch sound as he slowly starts to crush her hand. "You're not going anywhere." And it cuts to Gozu and Uzuki as they start to move away from Sakamoto, as Gozu goes, "Ain't that sweet? You finished that one, Kuma. We'll go waste the kid," as it shows Gozu and Uzuki making their way to go kill Shin. And then Sakamoto spins his hand around, like spins her wrist around, and it shows like a little button, like a little switch on her gauntlet. "Is this the switch?" And he clicks it, much to her shock and surprise, because she starts sweating bullets, going,
"Hey, what are you?"
And then it shows a crane outside of the parking garage that starts to move. "Huh?" Is that crane moving? And then Gozu and Torres look behind them as because of Sakamoto, that crane's entire line tears into the parking garage, causing both Torres and Gozu to get split apart. Actually, that wasn't Uzuki. That was that Uzuki or was that Torres as they were running? No, Torres doesn't have dark pants. I believe that was No, that was Torres. It was Torres and Gozu. Not Gozu and Uzuki. It was Torres and Gozu as they were making their way to kill Shin and company. But crane tears through the parking garage, and Gozu gets knocked back. Seriously? Letting him use your own weapon against us?
Shut your freaking trap and drop dead!
And then it cuts back to Sakamoto, who's looking at his hand, and he still sees it shaking. And Sakamoto's just thinking. Then Gozu notices. What's the matter with you? Your hands are shaking. A cowardly weakling like you has no business taking us on. And then Sakamoto goes, I don't choose my battles based on being weak or strong. Huh? Being weak means you're dead. And then Sakamoto looks behind him and jumps headfirst into a car to protect himself from being electrified by Gozu. He just smashes through the car and the electricity hits the truck he's in. And then Sakamoto basically breaks underneath the car. He breaks underneath the car with his bare fists and hot wires the car and immediately drives off and proceeds to hit Gozu. Like head-on collision, he hits Gozu and sends him flying. And then he sees Tanabata in front of him. And Tanabata is in front of him and then launches to the side. And then Tanabata launches his guitar cord directly into the car. The strength of the people who throw things like a guitar cord, he throws it through the car. It literally dents in the car from the force. And he strums his guitar, and the whole front half of the car explodes because of that increased shockwave. What kind of guitar is he using? But Sakamoto gets launched out of the car. And Sakamoto looks like it's kind of hurt. And then Oki goes, it's over. And then Torres is thinking, stupid bastard. Should have just enjoyed his life with his wife and kid. Showing that Torres has a different mindset towards Sakamoto due to the dinner he attended with them. Normally, he would have been all like, I don't care if he dies or not, but he was all like, you stupid idiot. You could have enjoyed your life with your wife and kid. He wouldn't have had that perspective or that thought had he not eaten with Sakamoto that night. Then we get back to Uzuki. This is the final goodbye, Sakamoto. I'm sure Rion will be sad, though. And then Sakamoto gets up and goes, cut the crap, Uzuki. You killed Akao. No. Quit using my friend to justify more crimes. And then Uzuki, in a fit of rage, with his face looking blackened with rage, like going straight down his face, as he goes, shut up! And then it shows Uzuki using the same capabilities as Rion to see a path directly to him, sees the path directly towards Sakamoto to cut him, and we see a spray of blood. Recognize that move? It's the killing pathway known only to Rion's family. Rion lives on within me. And Sakamoto gets stabbed through the chest. So long, Sakamoto. I knew it. If you were Rion, there'd be no time for last words. You're an obvious fake. And then Uzuki's eyes kind of open up wide as Sakamoto falls face first into the ground. Sakamoto's been stabbed through the chest. And that's how we end the chapter. Was it Oki or Torres? Was it Oki or Torres who said it's over? It feels like it was Oki who says it, because the speech bubble, the point that points towards the person who's speaking is going over Torres's head rather than it being directly pointed at Torres. It's going over his head. So I assume that it's Oki who says it's over. I assume it's Oki. So, did you mean Kindaka when you said the old guy? Not Kindaka, the other guy that took care of Shin. The scientist dude that Shin got his ESP from with that formula. Him. Kumanomi makes all the men want to hold her hand. Yeah, this is the second person to lock hands with Kumanomi, only she didn't lose her hand this time. The first person was Hio. And he literally died holding on to her hand, and she had to cut her own arm off in order to escape him, otherwise she would have drowned. Not gonna lie, was not expecting this. I was not expecting this either. Uzuki using the capabilities of the Akao family to draw a path to Sakamoto and essentially allow him to stab him through the back. This music man is scary, and why does his face make me think of Juggernaut from Fire Force? Who, you mean Gozu, or do you mean Tanabata? Oh yeah, I forgot he could do this. This truly was our Sakamoto days. Not gonna lie, I was not expecting this. New series, Hana and Shin days, coming out next week. And we're not going on break. Sakamoto has been stabbed through the back, out the chest, and this isn't a chapter we go on break on? Should be interesting to see how the story and what the story looks like after the fact, because if Shin and company see Sakamoto lying face first in the ground after being stabbed through the back, this is going to cause a whole swell of emotions to happen, because everyone is drawn together like this because of Sakamoto. And now Sakamoto's been stabbed through the chest. Not only that, but to make note of how grievous the wound is, Uzuki uses the capabilities of Rion, slices Sakamoto. Sakamoto is now bleeding from the mouth. His eyes look hazy. Now. And he falls face first. But even at the end of everything, Sakamoto still gives him his last jab, saying, like, if you were Rion, there'd be no time for last words, so you're an obvious fake. So, even though and the thing is, these words are getting to Uzuki. Tanabata, I always forget his name, so I just call him the Music Man. It's all good. Shin trains Hana to be the ultimate assassin and evade Sakamoto. So instead of who remembers that movie called Anna? The new series for Sakamoto Days will be called Hana. Hana meet Anna. But here, that looks like a heart stab. Yeah, it's going straight through a vital spot. It looks like it's going straight through a vital spot. So unless Sakamoto has learned how to slightly move his organs in a certain direction in order to avoid a fatal blow, Sakamoto has been stabbed through the chest. And mind you, this is supposed to be the killing pathway. You know, the same one that Akira uses. Is it Akira? I keep forgetting if it's Akira. Rion Akira. Rion Ako. Yeah, it's Akira. I wanted to make sure. Yes. But using the same killing pathway, stabs into Sakamoto. Mind you, everyone else tried to fight Sakamoto. Kumanomi, even with she was no match. She was no match for Sakamoto, despite his, trembling state right now. Gozu knows of it, still isn't able to do anything to Sakamoto because Sakamoto is too smart. But Uzuki and Tanabata do some level of inconvenience to, well, Tanabata does the inconvenience by destroying the car he was in. And Uzuki is the one who deals what appears to be a grievous blow. Sakamoto really died rage baiting his ops. Seriously, he did. Even when it looks like he's been fatally stabbed, he's still like, huh, Rion wouldn't, Rion wouldn't have said anything. So I know you're a fake. I know you're not even really Rion. See, the thing with Uzuki in his head, because of these split personalities he has, this is literally a case of split. You know, the James McAvoy movie where he's all these different personalities, the Horde? It's essentially this, but Uzuki truly believes he's these individuals. And all of these individuals who are copies of real people, he really thinks that he's Old Man Takamura. He really thinks that he's Ryo Nakao. He's not a fake. He's not made up these personalities in his head. He really thinks this. And when someone tells him you're not really this person, he gets upset. You're not really Rion. Shut up! Because he doesn't want to acknowledge the fact that these are just copied personalities. He's not actually these people. He's very good at being a mirror, but not the original. And now Sakamoto's been stabbed through the chest. Mind you, Shin and everyone else is supposed to be making their way to go help out Sakamoto. And mind you, not only that, but everyone on the order has the mindset to go after Shin to kill him. Rion wouldn't have had allowed the person she used that on to have last words. No, she wouldn't have. Akira behaves sort of the same way. She wouldn't, like Sakamoto said, Rion wouldn't have allowed the person to say anything last. She would have just killed them and that would have been the end of it. That's what Rion would have done. But Uzuki, still trying to prove a point that he's the original, still wants to have a villain monologue or some sort. Cause the thing that's funny is he says, recognize that move. It's a killing pathway known only to Rion's family. Rion lives on within me. And I'm like, bruh, you're just very good at copying people. You're not the original. You're not better than the original. You're just a copy of the original. You'll never have the same heart, the same mindset, because Rion would have killed you already. If she really wanted to. You wouldn't be alive right now if you were really Rion. Rion already had an issue with what Uzuki was doing because the Rion personality tried to stab him once, and he had to wrest control back. So no. So at least Gozu is out. I want Kendaka to be unnerved. Mind you, Kendaka still needs to get some feeling back in his legs again. I mean, he's been in a coma for 8 years, so he still needs to get back to the point where he is the fastest man alive. So now since Sakamoto appears to be incapacitated, it now falls to Shin, Kendaka, Heisuke, Boiled. Not so much the scientist dude that Shin grew up with, but it falls to those three people. And we also need to take in consideration that Miss Osaragi, Kamihate, and Mr. Shishiba are still unaccounted for, along with Nagumo. All of these individuals are still unaccounted for. So currently, Sakamoto is out of commission. I thought he was going to last longer, but apparently that's not the case because he's been injured. Very heavily injured right now. Imagine all this trash talking cause Uzuki to get so stressed he develops a Sakamoto personality. Nagumo on a trip to Africa. So here we are. Sakamoto has been incapacitated. Pretty much the best person to take on Uzuki, and everyone else has been incapacitated, it would seem. And now the rest of the order is going to go after Shin. Because Uzuki wants to get rid of everyone that is sided with Sakamoto. So he's going after everybody now. Imagine all this trash talking caused Uzuki to get so stressed he develops a Sakamoto personality. Phew, that'd be funny. That'd be hilarious, because then he'll start acting like Sakamoto and be all like, you know what? Instead of us trying to take over the entirety of Japan, I see a whole string of Sakamoto shops all over Japan. That's what I want to do. And then Shin hears this and is all like, hey, that's Mr. Sakamoto's dream! No, I am Mr. Sakamoto. That would just make things so much more confusing. It'd be hilarious, but it would make things so much more confusing. So now, long story short, too long didn't read, Sakamoto has been incapacitated, and now we gotta deal with the fact that the Order still wants to kill Shin and everyone that Sakamoto has sided with. So that is going to be a problem. But the fact that we're not going on break after this chapter is all like, okay. I saw some saying Sakamoto is Nagumo in disguise. That would be convenient. That would explain why he isn't there. Cause Nagumo is also a person that was close to Rion. Nagumo was also best friends with Rion before Uzuki came into the picture. And who better would know about Rion's killing pathway than Sakamoto and Nagumo? There's a thought. Thank you, Killer Bean. There's a unique thought in mine. We'll have to find out. We'll have to find out next week. No One Piece next week, but we'll get Sakamoto. So we'll have to find out then. Overall, interesting chapter with one heck of a cliffhanger. But I'm done for today. I gotta get ready for the One Piece episode. I gotta do that. And then once that is up and ready for you guys, I'll rest the rest of the day and then set things up for tomorrow because we got a big day tomorrow. Thank you, everyone, from Killer Bean to Holster, everyone else who showed up, even people who are just lurking and wondering if I'm even worth your time. Thank you for stopping by. Hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day, and once again, as always, later, peoples. Plus, Nagumo does like his trash talk. You're right, so that brings more validity to that thought. We'll have to see you next week. Later, peoples!